Yeah, episode 100. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not crazy. I guess on the other show, we have well over 100 episodes. So
Almost 2 years of Friday Apocryphal Podcast.
yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know.
So
Oh,
there it is.
just being annoying.
Okay.
Yep. YouTube is doing its thing.
Yeah.
What a reliable platform.
Right. So yeah, we're covering the Testament of Job. So of course, this is going to be the story of Job. We've heard this before, but we're going to have some extra stuff here.
Now, this is the oldest testament in the Apocrypha. No. But it is based off of Job.
Yeah. And I mean, it's going to be, kind of along the lines of other apocryphal texts where you know the basic story, but then here's a bunch of stuff you didn't know, or a bunch of stuff that, supposedly wasn't included or some shit like that, right?
Yes. Today we'll be reading out of Charlesworth's The Old Testament Pseudepigrapha.
Yeah. And this is volume 1.
Yes. And who is the translator and commentator?
R.P. Spittler.
Spittler.
These people
Role-playing
have
Spittler? Oh, another
Oh.
wrestler.
These people have not great names. Not like my name is great. It isn't, but I don't
No.
know. Spittler?
Do you have a
No,
middle
it's
name
not.
Or initial?
R.
R.
Yeah.
So L-R.
Ruslan.
Yuva.
L.R. Ufa, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's fine. You're a scholar.
Right, but my first name is spelled wrong.
That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, your first name is spelled like one of the variant spellings of Lawrence.
Do you mean wrong?
Like Chris's
it's-
name is Christopher, but he doesn't spell it Kristifier like
oh,
the
no,
Nords
that's horrible.
That does sound horrible.
do. Well, some people spell it that way.
Well, okay, I've at least never seen another person that had the first name Lawrence spelled like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, what do you think of Sean's and Scenes?
I mean, I guess whatever.
See, there's
I understand that there's
Sean
no
with
such
a
thing.
U, Sean with a W,
Yeah,
and then Scene.
yeah. I know what you're.
All the
know
ones
what you're
I've
talking
met were
about.
seen.
Don't worry. I get that there's no right way to spell something because you can just pronounce it anyway, and honestly, it's just like one is just more common than the other, right? It would be weird to call one right and the other is wrong. But fuck you, my name is spelled wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so for the Testament of Job, story is going to be the stuff we've heard a lot, but more. I think we get more emphasis on Satan. So the Testament of Job survives in 4 Greek manuscripts in Old Church Slavonic. There's an incomplete Coptic version, which is Egyptianized Greek. No Semitic witnesses to the text exist. Modern translations have appeared in French, Serbo, Croatian, English, German, and modern Hebrew. And then they list a few manuscripts here. So we have, there's one in Paris and Sicily at the Vatican, and then there's an Old Church Slavonic and the Coptic that are listed. So I'm guessing those are the ones that were used. So early on, early scholars, they believe that this book was originally composed in Hebrew, but there is a lot of, and aside from there just not being any extant Hebrew manuscripts, it seems like it's much more based on Greek motifs than it is Hebrew ones. And a lot of the Hebrew phrases that you would see did go into Greek.
So we have like literal translations from Hebrew to Greek.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those are, well, they're few and far between, I guess. So there's not really much to actually support that. Some people have argued for an Aramaic version, but the most likely language for the Testament of Job is Greek. So for the mean, he goes on a little bit here about the genre and the use of there being a testament and all the
Except it's just Job again.
essentially, but more Satan stuff.
Okay.
So he goes over the testament genre, and he talks about the similarities between other testaments that we have, and why we can call it a testament. So the mere phrase, "my son" or "my sons," so that's in a bunch of wisdom literature,
Mhm.
right? Like, and the thing is, he notes that it's talking. It's a father talking to a son, but as we learned from commentaries, it's not always, it doesn't have to be a son necessarily. It can just be a student,
Right.
because that's just how they were. Like, you would call a student like "my son" because you were imparting all this knowledge on them.
Yes.
So you have a wise, aged and usually dying father imparts final words of ethical counsel to his divine offspring. In the major biblical instance, the blessing of Jacob on his 12 sons, specific elements characteristic of the later Jewish testaments already appear. So you have an ill father that's near death and on his deathbed. He calls his sons and disposes of his goods and issues a forecast of events to come. The father dies and a lamentation ensues. Each of these features appears in the Testament of Job.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so it's, we know that it's a testament. So there are a few ways of, a lot of scholars have tried to date this work.
That's
And-
weird because we didn't really get that with the Testament of Solomon.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We didn't. So I don't know why that's included in that. So the notion of the term testament in the sense of a legal will, not to mention the derived notion of a spiritual legacy, was only possible as a Hellenistic development, for the Hebrew language apparently has no specific word for testament, even though inheritance laws flourished in Israel. The Hebrew berit refers to a covenant or a contract, not a will. Okay. So usually this text is dated sometime between the 1st century BCE and the 1st century CE. There's not really much more we can say. Some people have tried to date it. There was some sort of struggle with the Persians in like 40 BCE. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so M. Delker suggests that the invasion of Palestine by the Persian general Pacorus in 40 BCE may lie behind the references to Satan's disguise as the king of the Persians. But J.J. Collins tempers this proposal, noting that Persian kings were traditional enemies of Egyptian royalty. As the Testament suggests a time of persecution, when the patience or endurance it commends would be specially relevant, Collins proposes a 1st century CE date as more likely, but the state of the evidence hardly permits any more precise dating than the 1st century BCE or CE. So that's pretty much where I think this author falls. So even though you have a whole bunch of people that are arguing for dates within this range and trying to base it on historical events, which I like doing. That's a fun thing to do and whatnot. However, it does seem like there's not really much to go off of because these images could be used later on. So here, after talking a little bit about different people's ideas, this is what he suggests here, and also he references himself in the 3rd person as well. He says Spittler suggested that the Testament may have been reworked in the 2nd century by Montanists. He is Spittler. The person writing this is Spittler.
That's weird.
Yes, it is. He's not The Rock.
In a lot of publications, when you reference your own work, you're supposed to do that.
That's weird, though, isn't
Lawrence
it?
thinks that's
Yes.
weird.
It is weird.
Like,
I'm not even Lawrence.
like if he said it to a person, you'd be like, why are you doing that, man?
Like, let's say that you wrote and published 3 papers in 2022, and then you reference those papers in a paper that you wrote in 2023, right? you would have to write it as UFA 2022A suggests that.
Isn't that ridiculous, though?
It is ridiculous.
Like, why can't you just use I?
No,
Like, I know it's not like formal or whatever, but in scholarship, we're already kind of dealing with the realm of like argumentation and opinions, like because you have like some idea about something, you argue for it, right?
yeah.
Like, why can't you use I?
Because they were told not to by their teachers.
That's so stupid. Like, if I said, UFA once argued for this, you'd be like, why are you talking in the third person?
Are you talking about your dad?
Yeah, are you talking about your dad? All right, so so just a couple things here. So more recently, M. Philaneko reevaluated Kohler's thesis in view of the Qumran finds. He concluded that the Egyptian Therapeutae are to be distinguished from the Qumran Essenes. That's the Egyptian ones. That was a Jewish sect in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And that the former is a more likely source for the Testament of Job than the latter. While the Essenes were misogynists, the Therapeutae allowed women a significant role. Prayer towards the East also characterized the Therapeutae. Most importantly, Philo recounts how spontaneous hymnic compositions sprang from sacred meetings of the Therapeutae, in which both men and women were present. Several internal features of the Testament appear to confirm an Egyptian origin. Job is called the king of all Egypt. The reference to Job's 50 bakeries finds no Septuagint source, which I guess they would have been using the Greek one, right?
Mm-hmm.
As do many of the quantities mentioned in the Testament. The Therapeutae held the number 50 in special reverence, perhaps as a reference to the Feast of Pentecost. Gem collecting, attributed to Job, was an Egyptian royal pastime, according to Theophrastus. A few considerations warrant hesitancy in accepting an Egyptian provenance among the Therapeutae. Philo made a special point about the absence of slaves in the community of the Therapeutae, yet they are assumed in the Testament of Job and are both male and female. I'm guessing maybe it's because it was like placed in the distant past or something. That's my guess, but I don't know. Philo does not mention any glossolachic hymn, as does the Testament of Job, nor does he include laments among the forms of purposes of the hymns of the Therapeutae. Even so, an origin of the Testament among the Egyptian Therapeutae seems very plausible. So he has this construction here about how it came to be. So the following reconstruction of the origin and development of the Testament of Job mingles probabilities with possibilities. The result is a scenario for the emergence of the Testament of Job that must be seen as conjectural. How, in fact, the Testament arose cannot be described with faultless historical accuracy, as is tradition. Somewhere in the second half of the 1st century BCE, a member of the Therapeutae near Alexandria produced a testament in praise of patience, which is surely a contemplative virtue. Although he or someone before him may have used a Semitic original, his own work bore unmistakable evidences of a lover of the Septuagint. Having himself spontaneously composed hymns at the Therapeutae vigils, and with his poetic skills now refined by writing. He or she produced at least 3 poetic pieces in the work. As the document left in the therapeutic community and found its way to the Phrygian regions, it was in Greek and consisted of the Testament of Job 1 through 45, a true testament of a tested servant of God. The work was artful enough, at least so far as the speech of Job's wife is concerned, to have interlaced with the developing text of the Septuagint. If the Testament was influential enough to have affected the Septuagint text or be affected by it, it may be no surprise to find it in Phrygian regions 2 centuries later. When the new prophecy erupted, there was no contest over canon, scripture, or doctrine. When, however, the original Montanist trio passed and foretold and the foretold end had not come yet, the movement organized and prophetic ecstasy spread. Prophetic virgins constituted themselves into an institution. At one point, before 195 CE, an anti-Montanist writer demanded of the Montanists where in Scripture prophecy and ecstasy might be claimed. In an era of canonical flexibility, a Montanist apologist, probably of a Jewish background, made use of a testament known to him in which he found ideas compatible with his own species of Judaistic practice. By creating the Testament of Job 46 through 53, so he divides it that way, possibly inserting chapter 33 and certain other wrestling, the apologist for the new prophecy produced a text wherein the daughters of Job were charismatically or magically lifted into prophetic ecstasy, enabling them to speak in the language of angels. And that's essentially how he is thinking the text came to be as it is. And then the rest of it, it doesn't really matter too much. There's some theological issues, but we'll get to those when we get to those. So there's not much else to go over there. And we can probably hop into the book of Job. The Testament of Job. We already did the book of Job, everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was about to say, we need Chris 1.
Right.
Yeah.
So, are you ready?
I am.
Are you ready, audience?
I don't know. Probably not.
Well, you should be ready to like, share, and subscribe. Anyways, I'll hop into this. We have, for the first verse, a title. Yes.
Incredible. A title. Love it.
But before the title, we have the title Testament of Job, Prologue. And this has different names depending on the manuscript.
Great.
So it can be. Yes.
Yeah, it's just so convoluted. Thank you.
It can be Testament of Job, Testament of the blameless, sorely tired, and blessed Job, his life and a copy of his testament.
Wow.
It can be life and conduct of the holy and righteous Job. That's according to the Slavonic.
Okay.
Now we have the title, which is the first verse. The book of the words of Job, the one called Jobab.
Yeah. So the idea here is that his name was Jobab, and then God renamed him Job.
Yeah, well, it says here that a reference is probably to the Jobab of Genesis 36:33, who is described as the second king of Edom. This suggests a setting in the patriarchal era, confirmed by Job's genealogy from the sons of Esau in verse 6, which we'll get to. Similarly, Job 42:17c in the Septuagint describes Job as a descendant of Abraham and speaks in reverse order from the Testament of Job.
Hold on, which verse? Sorry. We can check
Job
this.
42:17c in the Septuagint. It speaks of Jobab, the one called Job.
Okay. I'll look it up.
All right. Well, I'll continue while you're looking it up. Now we get into the setting, which pictures Job at the end of his life. Now, on the day when, having fallen ill, he began to settle his affairs, he called his 7 sons and his 3 daughters, whose names are Tirsi, Koros, Hyon, Nike. Yeah, just do it. Phoros, Piphe, Phroon, Hemera, Kasaya, and Amalthea's horn. So
this, hold on. So the Septuagint had it listed. So Job 42:17, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it looks like this man is described in the Syriac book as living in the land of Ausis, or I guess Ausitidi in the Greek. on the borders of Idumea and Arabia, and his name before was Jobab. And having taken an Arabian wife, he begot a son whose name was Enon, and he himself was the son of his father Zer, one of the sons of Esau, and of his mother Bosara, so that he was the fifth from Abraham, or from Abram.
Yeah. And I should remind the viewers that this is not Job. This is the Testament of Job.
Yeah.
Which is a different book that has the same story. Now, this last person who is named as one of his children...
I wouldn't say it's a later addition to the text. It had a different meaning than it does in modern nomenclature. That's what I would say, but it's not I don't think it's a later addition.
This last person named as a child of Job is Amalthea's horn. And that's the legendary horn of plenty, the cornucopia, ascribed in Greek mythology to the broken horn of the she-goat who nursed Zeus.
Hey, me too.
Greek myth likewise knows of Nereus, the name of Job's brother. And when he had called his children, he said, "Gather round, my children, gather round me, so that I may show you the things which the Lord did with me, and all the things which have happened to me. I am your father Job, fully engaged in endurance. But you are a chosen and honored race from the seed of Jacob, the father of your mother. For I am from the sons of Esau, the brother of Jacob."
Oh, hold on. I want to point out one thing here, because it's actually really interesting. So I'm comparing the Septuagint version of Job to, I know this show isn't supposed to be about the book of Job, but this is really interesting. Mm-hmm. So the Septuagint version of Job has that longer ending. I read part of it with his genealogy, right? Mm-hmm. So the one that's biblical now, that's canon. So it says here, and after this, Job lived 140 years and saw his sons and his sons' 4 generations. And Job died an old man and full of days. Right, an old man and full of days. But the Greek and Job died an old man and full of days, and it is written that he will rise again with those whom the Lord raises up.
Oh, that's very different.
It is. And then it goes on with the genealogy.
Well, we also have an interesting point here in the Testament of Job.
Sure.
It says here, "For I am from the sons of Esau, the brother of Jacob, of whom is your mother Dinah, from whom I begot you. My former wife died with the other 10 children in a bitter death." But in canonical Job, the first wife is unnamed and the second is unmentioned. In the Testament of Job, the wife of Job's trials is named Sittis, while the mother of the 10 children just named and before whom Job declares this testament is Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah. That makes Job an in-law to the 12 patriarchs and thereby further legitimates a testament from one outside the circle of patriarchal worthies.
Yeah. So with this whole thing, they took this genealogy that had already existed, and they're linking it even further with the patriarchs.
Mm. "So hear me, children, and I will show you the things which have befallen me." That was chapter 1. Now, that was the prologue. Now we're getting into chapter 2, which is like 3 sentences. And
where we're learning about the things we start learning
yes.
about them, I'm guessing.
Well, this section is called Job and the Revealing Angel. And the subsection is called Job's Perplexity over Idolatry. Chapter 2. "Now, I used to be Jobab before the Lord named me Job. When I was called Jobab, I lived quite near a venerated idol's temple." And elsewhere, the pagan temples are called the places of Satan, the temple of the idol, the temple of the great god, the place of drink offerings, the house of God. Opposition to idolatry in the Testament of Job, chapters 2 through 5, resembles the similar iconoclasm of Abraham in Jubilees.
And also, the Apocalypse of Abraham.
Yes. "As I constantly saw whole burnt offerings being offered up there, I began reasoning within myself, saying, Is this really the God who made the heaven and earth, the sea too, and our very selves? How shall I know? And that was quite nearly a creedal formula at Psalm 145, probably arising from Exodus 20:11 and Nehemiah 9:6.
Oh, Nehemiah.
Yeah.
You and Ezra, you guys got some real issues.
Those guys
need to work on.
Now we're into chapter 3. One night, as I was in bed, a loud voice came to me in a very bright light, saying, "Jobab, Jobab." And I said, "Yes, here I am."
Oh my God. Well, at least they're maintaining the Abraham character. Sorry, this is Job, right? Mm-hmm. But they're taking over that Abraham character.
Yeah. You know, this would not be my reaction to this.
Yeah. Hey, here I am. You got me.
You're like, whoa, what's going on? Who are you? Where'd you come from?
Yeah.
And he said, "Arise, and I will show you who this is whom you wish to know. This one whose whole burnt offerings they bring, and whose drink offerings they pour, is not God. Rather, his is the power of the devil, by whom human nature is deceived."
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a later work, because if they had the same understanding of the Satan as the authors of Job did, they would not put it this way.
Yeah. "When I heard these things, I fell on my bed worshiping and saying, 'My Lord, who came for the salvation of my soul, I beg you, if this is indeed the place of Satan, by whom men are deceived, grant me authority to go and purge his place, so that I may put an end to the drink offerings being poured for him. Who is there to forbid me, since I rule this region?'"
You know, Job here, of course, he reminds me of, a few characters we've seen throughout. Like, I forget which king it was, but it was the one who he was like pretending to be a follower of all those idols, right? I forget which god it was. But he was pretending. Like, he went through with, like, sacrifices to these other gods, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, he was like, "Haha, now I've got you." And then he, like, slaughters all the people there. It was in Kings, I think.
Are you talking about Samson?
No, it wasn't Samson.
I know Samson destroys a whole temple.
Right.
Everyone in it.
That was something else. No, there was a specific king that was trying to get rid of all these heathens, right? But, like, he didn't do it beforehand. He did it after he himself sacrificed to these other gods.
I can't recall. For ruling the region, where the Septuagint calls Job's friends kings in Job 2:11, the Testament of Job makes Job a king too. Most strongly at 28:7, Jobab, the king of all Egypt. The friends speak of him as their fellow king, and his throne, mentioned at 24, becomes the daunting refrain in the lament of Eliphaz in chapter 32. So Job's a king.
Yeah.
Whereas he was like a rich man in the non-Septuagint version of Job.
Right.
Now we're in chapter 4, the angel's disclosure of impending calamities. "The light answered me and said, 'You shall be able to purge this place, but I am going to show you all the things which the Lord charged me to tell you.' And I said, 'Whatever he has charged me, his servant, I will hear and do.' Again he said, 'Thus says the Lord, if you attempt to purge the place of Satan, he will rise up against you with wrath for battle, but he will be unable to bring death upon you. He will bring on you many plagues. He will take away for himself your goods. He will carry off your children. But if you are patient, I will make your name renowned in all generations of the earth till the consummation of the age.
Yes, so we already know this is like a much later text because they're like, if you're patient. Because if you have this idea of like this coming judgment and this coming age, and then it just never happens, eventually people had to start arguing for, you gotta be patient. That's a virtue, guys.
You know, this is very different than the book of Job.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have this bet between Satan and Yahweh.
Right.
No, but that's how it's more portrayed in media later. So maybe this is referenced to somewhat, or this is sort of the inspiration for some of those.
Well, I mean, even in like media, I would think that it's portrayed as like a bet between God and Satan.
It usually is.
Yeah, because that's how it is in the biblical version.
Right. But here it's literally like the result of Job standing up against Satan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's very different. Sorry, that's very different.
Yeah. And I will return you again to your goods. It will be repaid to you doubly, so that you may know that the Lord is impartial, rendering good things to each one who obeys. And you will be raised up in the resurrection.
Yep, there we go. Okay.
Right? That's in the Septuagint.
Mhm.
So both syntactically and doctrinally, this verse could qualify as a Christian interpolation. Even more, Manuscript V's additional phrase, to eternal life. But the Septuagint Job already taught a future resurrection, even apart from the interesting statement in the appendix, 42:17a. And it is written that he will rise again with those whom the Lord will raise up. With whom the Lord raised up, reads Manuscript V distinctively at the Testament of Job 53:8. Resurrection in 4:9, as well as in 53:8v and Job 42:17a in the Septuagint, seems limited to the righteous, as in 2 Maccabees 7:14. This contrasts with, for example, the Testament of Benjamin 10:8, where it said, all shall arise, some to glory and others to dishonor.
Right. I mean, at least specifically, we know that Job will be one of the ones that arises.
Mm-hmm. For you will be like a sparring athlete, both enduring pains and winning the crown. Then will you know that the Lord is just, true, and strong, giving strength to his elect ones. Now we're in chapter 5, another short one. Job's destruction of the idol's shrine. And I, my little children, replied to him, till death I will endure. I will not step back at all. After I had been sealed by the angel when he left me, my little children, then, having arisen the next night, I took 50 youths with me, struck off for the temple of the idol, and leveled it to the ground. And so I withdrew into my house, having ordered the doors to be secured.
Okay, yeah, I guess. Like, he just destroyed a temple, and he's like, all right, now we hide.
Yeah. So that was the first 5 chapters. So
Yeah, I can take
I'm
it
going to
over.
hand it off to you to read the next 5 chapters.
And hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream so far, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, all that good stuff.
Yes, like, comment, subscribe, buy our t-shirts, etc.
We do have t-shirts, lots of them. They're pretty cool. Buzzy Bee t-shirts. If you want a giant bee on you, because that's what we all need. Save the bees.
How will you be cool unless you're wearing one of our shirts?
Yeah.
You can't.
Could you be any cooler? That's a little bit of Chandler Bing for you. Okay. So this next section, Satan's attack and Job's tragedy.
I'll be right back.
Okay. So I guess the thing that's marking off this section from the others would be the chiastic structure, and that's the whole like ABBA structure or ABCBA structure. That's sandwich structure. That's what chiastic is. So it marks this entire section from chapter 6 to 27, which we won't be getting through all of that, but we'll be getting through most of it. So, Satan disguised as a beggar. Listen, little children, and marvel, For as soon as I entered into my house and secured my doors, I charged my doorman thus: if anyone should seek me today, give no report, but say he has no time, for he's inside, concerned with an urgent matter. Like, he's very busy.
Leave me alone.
Just tell him I'm not. No, like,
Nobody's
I can't
here.
do anything. He's busy. Classic. So while I was inside, Satan knocked at the door, having disguised himself as a beggar. So Satan in disguise appears elsewhere in the Testament of Job. So in chapter 17, he's disguised as king of the Persians. He in chapter 23 as a bread seller. At 25, Satan also appeared as a great whirlwind. Whatever. The motif serves a literary rather than a dogmatic purpose. In each case, what Satan becomes suits the requirements of the narrative context. Satan appears as a beggar precisely because it is beggars who gained ready entrance to Job's house, which we learn later, apparently. The Testament of Reuben 5:6 refers to the fallen angels who were disguised as men. Oh, yeah, we get those. Yeah, we see that a lot. They basically reference them being disguised as divine beings being disguised as not those things. So anyways, so he's disguised as a beggar, and he said to the doormaid, "Tell Job I wish to meet with him." And he said it like that too. I could see it now.
Wow.
When the doormaid came and told me these things, she heard me say to report that I had no time just now. And now we're on to chapter 7. When he heard that, Satan departed and put yoke on his shoulders. And when he arrived, he spoke to the doormaid, saying, "Say to Job, give me a loaf of bread from your hands, so I may eat." So I gave a burnt loaf of bread to the girl to give to him, and said to him, "Expect to eat my loaves no longer, for you are estranged to me." All right, so Job gives him some bread, I guess.
Yes.
Expect to eat my loaves no longer.
That's Job.
That's Job. That's saying that.
Expect to eat my loaves no longer.
Thanks, Job.
Then the doormaid, ashamed to give him the burnt and ashen loaf of bread, for she did not know he was Satan, took the good loaf of her own and gave it to him. But this guy knew it was Satan. Job knew it was Satan, apparently.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. How did he know and she didn't?
Maybe he's just greedy.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe maybe after destroying a temple, he's like really paranoid about all the people that are coming to his door now.
Can you hand me volume 2?
I can hand you volume 2. All right. Let's continue on. So she gives him some good bread. And when he received it and knew what had occurred, he said to the girl, "Off with you, evil servant! Bring the loaf of bread given to me." I guess Satan would know, I suppose. But why is he complaining about this? Let's find out.
He wants the burnt bread.
He wants the burnt one, apparently. Or he wants her to do what she was told to do, I guess?
I guess.
All right. The girl wept with deep grief, saying, "Truly, you well say I am an evil servant. For if I were not, I would have done just as it was assigned to me by my master." Jesus Christ. Okay. So not following the rules makes you evil according to Satan.
That's right.
That's the point he's trying to get across.
That's right.
Here.
Be a bureaucrat.
Yeah.
And when she returned, she brought him the burnt loaf of bread, saying to him, "Thus says my Lord, you shall no longer eat from my loaves at all, for I have been estranged from you. Yet I have given you this loaf of bread in order that I may not be accused of providing nothing to a begging enemy." Jesus Christ. So she doesn't know that this is Satan, I guess. But But she relates this message from Job, who is apparently aware this is Satan, who is giving this burnt bread because he's like, fuck off, Satan. Like, you suck. And she's just like, I've been told to say all this stuff, but I don't know what it means about being estranged from you. Like, I have no clue. So she is probably a little confused.
She's like, don't shoot the messenger.
Right, exactly. When he heard these things, Satan sent the girl back to me, saying, as this loaf of bread is wholly burnt, so I shall do to your body also. For within the hour I will depart and devastate you. She was giving him not burnt bread.
Yeah.
But when it came to actually receiving not burnt bread, he was a Karen about it, and he was like, "No, you didn't follow the rules." And then he was upset that he got what was actually given to him. So, I don't know. These people have problems. And I replied to him, "Do what you will. For if you intend to bring anything to me, I am prepared to undergo whatever you inflict." They're getting ready for battle. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it did say that Job was going to be like a sparring athlete.
Yeah. In his old age. So now we're on to chapter 8. Satan implores the Lord for power over Job. So this is where...
What?
This is where it starts. Okay. So now we're back to the normal story about Satan going to God and asking him to fuck with Job.
Well, we'll see how normal it is.
We'll see. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. After he withdrew from me, when he had gone out under the firmament, he implored the Lord that he might receive authority over my goods. And then, when he had received the authority, he came and took away all my wealth.
Wow, what a dick.
He stole your shit.
Yeah, obviously.
That's excessive taxation, man. Also, it just totally skipped over getting that authority, huh?
Yeah, it was just said that he got the authority. But I guess the authors of this would be like, okay, they've heard that part. Like, as if they hadn't. I guess all this other stuff is pretty unique. So now we're to chapter 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a really short chapter 8. So this is his philanthropy, that being Job's.
With what?
Yeah, right, with what?
Took all his stuff.
Like, I have no goods now, so I can do so much philanthropy.
Right, exactly. Like, now you can do it. So typical midrashic embellishment characterizes this section, magnifying the pious generosities of Job. Job 29 and 31, both the Septuagint, less so Job 30 in the Septuagint, clearly inform the author here, supplying numerous details and actual language and illuminating several textual problems in the Testament of Job. So, working off the Septuagint version, I guess this is just like maybe his telling of why that wealth was taken away.
Could be.
So listen.
Oh, I also wanted to point out something cool that I hadn't noticed before. Volume 2 has Ahikar in it.
Really?
Yeah, it has Ahikar. It's listed right there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. That's something. I don't think it'd be the same as the it wasn't Babylonian, right? It was it may have been Babylonian. I forget already.
I'm gonna check
Babylonian,
because
Sumerian, Ahikar.
We mentioned while reading Tobit,
Yeah.
that we would want to go through
Ugaritic. That's what I'm thinking of. So all right, so listen, for I will show you all the things which have befallen me, my losses. For I used to have 130,000 sheep. Of them, I designated 7,000 to be sheared for the clothing of orphans and widows, the poor and the helpless. And I had a pack of 80 dogs guarding my flocks. There are a lot of textual things here. So Okay, so these are just comparing it to the numbers given in Job, apparently.
Mhm.
I also had 200 other dogs guarding the house. I feel like you should have more dogs guarding the flocks, but okay.
That's still both an excessive amount of dogs.
And sheep,
Well, the sheep were insane.
130,000.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah.
And yes, this is the actual Ahikar.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. And I used to have 9,000 camels. From them, I chose 3,000 to work in every city. After I loaded them with good things, I sent them away into the cities and villages, charging them to go and distribute to the helpless, to the destitute, and to all the widows. And I used to have 140 grazing she-asses. From these, I marked off 500 and gave a standing order for their offspring to be sold and given to the poor and needy. Okay, so it looks like when he was rich, he was using what he had to help homeless people and, the needy in general. From all regions, people began coming to me for a meeting. The 4 doors of my house stood open. Let's see here. A reason for this many doors is offered in the Talmudic text. And why did Job make 4 doors to his house? So that the poor should not have the trouble of going around the entire house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's really nice of him.
yeah, right. So this is probably why it was kind of referenced before about Satan coming in as a beggar. So it makes sense here. If he was,
But it still doesn't make sense how he knew it was Satan.
right, that doesn't make sense at all. But it would make sense for Satan to come as a beggar, thinking, "Oh, this guy is so good to poor people. He's got to help me out." Little old Satan.
Yeah.
Satan.
So the 4 doors of my house stood open, and I gave a standing order to my house servants that these doors should stand open, having this in view. Possibly some would come asking alms, and because they might see me sitting at the door, would turn back ashamed, getting nothing. Instead, whenever they would see me sitting at one door, they could leave through another and take as much as they needed. All right, so yeah, they could just waltz in and take however much they wanted.
Just walk into his house and take whatever you want.
That's not just philanthropy. That's something else. That's something else. So yeah, just like take whatever, guys. I'm loaded.
That reminds me of. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, so this was beforehand. This was before all the Satan stuff, where he had his doors open and people could just take whatever they want. I suppose maybe this is where. Oh, this isn't where it comes from, but it would be kind of interesting if it came from this. The whole adage of, if you leave your doors unlocked, you're inviting people in to take all your shit. Is that a thing in American culture?
Yes and no. Depends on where you live in America.
Okay, because, at least Russians say this all the time. If you don't lock your doors, you're just, then you're just inviting people in. And I'm like, first of all, that's not how property works. But that's the logic for Russian people, I suppose. Like, you should lock your doors, right? But that's still stupid logic. It's not your fault.
So, I don't.
Let's live in the South. Please try.
I don't know exactly which part of the book, but Germania by Tacitus.
Okay.
Yeah. He describes a kind of similar practice.
That's right, loud Tim. Look out for the 200 dogs.
Yeah. Well, Tacitus describes a similar practice among the Germanic peoples where you could just walk up to their house and you could look at something and be like, I want that. And it was customary for them to be like, yeah, sure, here you go.
Huh. That's is it open to the public or is that friends and family coming over?
No, open to the public.
That's weird.
It
I
didn't.
mean, I guess it's
yeah.
weird for us now, but
Justin has a great point. In the South, when we had a really long driveway that, like, you also had to go down a really long cul-de-sac to get to, that is in itself in the middle of nowhere. You don't have to lock your house. It doesn't really make
guess.
sense. If anything, the cats will get locked out. That
that would
happened.
be pretty bad.
Yeah, it was hot out all the time. They liked being outside. Whatever.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, they could just come in and take whatever they wanted. And then now we're on to chapter 10. And I established in my house 30 tables spread at all hours for strangers only. I used to maintain 12 other tables set for the widows. When any stranger approached to ask alms, he was required to be fed at my table before he would receive his need. Neither did I allow anyone to go out of my door with an empty pocket. This is so European.
Yeah.
This is such a European thing. Like, you could call it hospitality, but sometimes it can be fucking overbearing, let me tell you.
And he's supposed to be an Edomite?
Right. Supposed to be king of Edom.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a king that you can just walk into his place and...
This is just extreme royalty.
Imagine,
Not just European royalty.
Well,
imagine
yeah, I guess.
if you just like showed up to Joe Biden's house.
It's like, hey, Joe!
Why is the door locked? Come on.
I mean, man, I just want to take some vases and stuff.
You should
I'm
let
not
me.
robbing you, though. You should willingly let me have them.
That's what philanthropic rulers do, according to this book that I read.
Yup.
I wasn't misinformed.
Unless Satan came to your door, in which case you might want to change things up. I used to have 3,500 yoke of oxen, and I chose from them 500 yoke and designated them for plowing, which they could do in any field of those who would use them. And I marked off their produce for the poor, for their table. I also used to have 50 bakeries, from which I arranged for the ministry of the table for the poor. So he's got the special table, or these special tables for poor people to eat. That if they come in and want to take something, they also have to get fed. And apparently, it said that he used to maintain 12 tables for widows.
We used to.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, apparently. So 13.4, 14.2, and 15.1, I guess are similar to that. And I am... Yeah, that's the right citation here.
This could also be saying that he did at that time, because in the story, he's still telling this to his children.
Right, that's true. So yeah, at that time, he would also have the table for the widows, which apparently the New Testament care and feeding of widows is referenced here in 1 Timothy and in Acts 6:1.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, on to chapter 11.
Well, let me hop in.
All right. Thank you.
Did your 5 chapters.
And also my throat is getting kind of dry.
All right. So, chapter 11. His underwritten charities. Although parts of Job 29 through 31 appear in this section, the midrashic connection of the Testament of Job 11f with Job 29 through 31 is not as evident as that of the other chapters in the Testament of Job 9 through 15. Chapter 11. There were also certain strangers who saw my eagerness, and they too desired to assist in this service. And there were still others, at the time without resources and unable to invest a thing, who came and entreated me, saying, "We beg you, may we also engage in this service? We own nothing, however. Show mercy on us and lend us money so that we may leave for distant cities on business and be able to do the poor a service. And afterward we shall repay you what is yours."
Can I have like $1 for a bus? I'll pay it back somehow.
Yeah. When I heard these things, I would rejoice that they would take anything at all from me for the care of the poor. And receiving their note eagerly, I would give them as much as they wished, taking no security from them except a written note, so that they would go out at my expense. Sometimes they would succeed in business and give to the poor, but at other times they would be robbed, and they would come and entreat me, saying, "We beg you, be patient with us. Let us find how we might be able to repay you." Without delay, I would bring before them the note and read it, granting cancellation as the crowning feature, and saying, "Since I trusted you for the benefit of the poor, I will take nothing back from you, nor would I take anything from my debtor." So,
All right. Yeah, he doesn't have to be paid back. I mean, he's loaded, apparently. And he does all these charitable things. He's the Mr. Beast of his day.
yeah, so this phrase draws on the Septuagint, which radically differs from the Masoretic text at this point, Job 31:37.
I should have left a bookmark in here.
Yeah. If you want to pull up Job 31:37 in both a Masoretic source and a Septuagint source, then we will have...
31:37. I got it.
Apparently it's radically different. About him not taking from his debtors. Also, one of the manuscripts, Manuscript V, adds that he would tear up the note and free up them of debt.
Yeah, you said 31:37?
Yes.
It's definitely somewhere in here. So 31:37 in the Septuagint. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so I would place it as a chaplet on my shoulders and read it. And if I did not read it and return it, having taken nothing from the debtor.
So he doesn't take from the debtors. Now, what does the Masoretic text source say?
I always forget if this one is laid out differently, like in order of books.
I don't know.
So I'm going to have to, hopefully not too much. I think it is. I think Job is at the end. Yeah, here it is. All right. So 31:37. It's around here somewhere. Okay. I think it's here. I would declare unto him the number of my steps as a prince would I go near unto him. That's 31:37. That is radically different.
Yes.
There's nothing similar between them.
Nothing similar at all. Well then.
Nope.
Chapter 12. On occasion, a man cheerful at heart would come to me saying, "I'm not wealthy enough to help the destitute, yet I wish to serve the poor today at your table." When it was agreed, he would serve and eat. At evening, as he was about to leave for home, he would be compelled to take wages from me, as I would say, "I know you are a working man counting on and looking for your wages. You must accept." Nor did I allow the wage earner's pay to remain at home with me in my house. This is a basic law, Leviticus 19:13. That the working man with no thought of his wages occurs in Job 7:2 as well. Anyways, chapter 13, new chapter. His fabulous wealth in cattle, the buttered mountains. Okay. There's a buttered mountain. Chapter 13. Those who milked the cows grew weary, since milk flowed in the mountains. Butter spread over my roads, and from its abundance my herds bedded down in the rocks and mountains because of the births. So this butter, bountiful milk led to lavish supplies of butter, which is invariably linked with milk or honey, or both as a token of affluence. So the mountains were washed over with milk and it became as congealed butter. And my servants, who prepared the meals for the widows and the poor, grew tired and would curse me in contempt, saying, "Who will give us some of his meat cuts to be satisfied?"
Wait, so hold on. So were they not being fed properly? The servants who are preparing all these things?
I guess that they want some meat and he's not giving it to them.
They gotta, you know what they should do? Unionize.
Yep. Nevertheless, I was quite kind. Now we have chapter 14.
You didn't give me any meat, though.
Nope, no meat. You don't get meat. How can you have your meat if you don't eat your pudding?
You get scraps, that's what you get.
How can you have your pudding if you don't eat your meat?
That's a good philosophical question.
Oof. Chapter 14, his musical prowess.
Oh. Huh. I didn't know that Job was a musician as well.
He does everything.
Wow, but he's a triple threat.
Yeah.
Such a Mary Sue. This is great.
Yep. And I used to have 6 psalms and a 10-stringed lyre. Now, perhaps this is a repertoire specifically used to quell murmuring among the widows. A Dead Sea Scroll text, 11Q Psalms A, 27, 2-11, speaks of 4 psalms of David for making music over the stricken. So this may be a reference to that. I would rouse myself daily after the feeding of the widows, take the lyre and play for them, and they would chant hymns, and with the psaltery I would remind them of God, so that they might glorify the Lord. If my maidservants ever began murmuring, I would take up the psaltery and strum as payment in return. And thus I would make them stop murmuring in contempt. Now we have chapter 15, his familial piety. So this is highly dependent on Job 1:1-4 in the Septuagint.
Of course it is.
The Septuagint adds a calf to a list in the Masoretic text, and to the calf, the Testament of Job adds the list of sacrificial animals. Thus, in Testament of Job, even the domestic piety of Job, resulting in a recurring supply of fresh meat, contributes to his care for the poor.
Yeah, because he had a lot.
Yeah. Chapter 15. After the ministry of the service, my children daily took their supper. They went in to their older brother to dine with him, taking along with them their 3 sisters also. The urgent matters were left with the maidservants, since my sons also sat at the table with the male slaves who served. A slight emendation of the text could make the sentence read, and the sisters were attended by the maidservants, as my sons were waited on by the male slaves who served them. I therefore early would offer up sacrifices on their behalf according to their number. 300 doves, 50 goats' kids, and 12 sheep. I issued a standing order for all that remained after the rites to be furnished to the poor. And I would say to them, take these things remaining after the rites, so that you may pray on behalf of my children. Possibly my sons have sinned before the Lord through boasting by saying with disdain, we are sons of this rich man, and these goods are ours. Why then do we also serve? For pride is an abomination before God. And again, I offered up a select calf on the altar of God, lest my sons may have thought evil things in their heart towards God. And that is the end of chapter 15.
You know, there's a story in I think it's Luke. I think it's Luke 15, if I'm not mistaken. I did a translation of this for my Greek course. I think that's the one with there's like this kid that's like he goes kind of astray from his father, and then he blows all of his money and whatnot, and then he comes back to his dad. He's like, I'm sorry, Dad. And then the other son is all like, hey, Dad, you're treating this guy like a fucking king, but he left us for however long and blew all of his money. So, like, why are you treating him so great? And the other son was just really not too happy about it. But there's this whole thing about him getting like celebrating with a calf and whatnot, because was it with a calf? But they did like a sacrifice for him like returning and whatnot. A fattened calf. Okay, so now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing, and he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant, and he said to him, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, look, these many years I have served you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him. And he said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your brother was dead, and is alive. He was lost and is found. So that they reminded me of that.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of our readings for the day.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed the stream, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, neighbors, the poor.
Rich people that you can walk into their houses.
Those guys.
Yeah.
If you know anybody who's like that, tell them to watch this, because we can then hang out in their house.
Share our show with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
No, not him.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
It might not be, but do it anyway.
Do it anyways. Put a lot of eyes on the show. Okay, let's see what else we got. We have a Patreon. You know, you could win t-shirts.
You know, if you want a t-shirt, you can buy yourself a t-shirt, such as the one that's about to be pinned right now. You can get yourself a wonderful Drive 666 hoodie, which is listed up there. A wonderful, amazing, incredible shirt that well, it's not a shirt, it's a hoodie.
It's a hoodie.
It'll be the most wonderful hoodie that you've ever worn. So comfortable, so warm in these upcoming winter months.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's getting cold outside. Why not wrap yourself in a hoodie with a bee on it?
Yes. It will impress all of the special ladies in your life.
Or men.
It will inspire jealousy from your coworkers.
And your enemies.
And your friends.
Or you could sit alone at home and wear it and sometimes look down.
And it's great.
Yep.
So we got a lot of shirts as well as that one. Now you might think, that's such a cool shirt. It might be worth. How much would you think a shirt like that is worth?
Stop, Billy.
For a hoodie like that, I think that I would pay maybe $2,000.
Oh, wow.
Well, you're in luck, because for a limited time.
Wait. Are you telling me it's less than $2,000?
It is less than
$1,000?
Oh, it could be. We could have easily made it $1,000.
Wait. Is it $500?
Oh, you're getting closer, but it's still far off. It is even less than that.
You're blowing my mind. Is it $200?
It is $35.
$35?
Probably tax included.
Oh my God.
It's amazing, and you should get that.
You've blown my mind.
It's worth thousands. For a limited time of forever, you can get this you can get this hoodie for $35. And all of our shirts are, I think, like $20 or $25, something like that. But it's really good deal, because those shirts could easily be $1,000.
I mean, I know that our viewers would readily spend their children's college fund just to buy one of our T-shirts. But you're telling me that they could potentially buy all of our T-shirts?
Yeah, it's a steal. You're stealing from us,
And
you thief.
no one
We're going to
cares.
sue.
We're not going to sue.
No, we're not. Okay. Let's see what else we have.
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook and Twitter. Free to follow us on those platforms.
Yep. Send in your diss tracks to MilwaukeeAtheist@gmail.com.
Yeah, please diss me. It'll be a lot of fun listening to a diss track. And
Lawrence, you're lame. You don't have
please
any
stop.
game.
Stop. Also, yes, that's true.
Oh.
I think. We have Amazon wish list.
Yep, we got an Amazon wish list full of books. You can check it out. You can buy us books. We can read the books. We can pretend to read the books. We could use the books on the show. We could pretend to read out of the books while they're on the table while we're doing the show.
Also,
We can build a small house out of them.
so I forgot to bring them, but a lot of books did come in for you.
Oh, nice.
But there was this one big book on epistemology.
I'll swing by your house later.
Okay. But the thing is, we got 2 copies of it. I don't know how 2 were set, but we got 2 copies.
Are you sure they're the exact same book and
Yes.
not like volumes?
I checked.
Oh.
They're the same book.
Well,
This has been happening to people.
thank
Has it?
you, Amazon.
Yeah, thanks, Amazon.
They're experts in books, and sometimes you just get another one.
Now you can learn epistemology, and I can learn epistemology.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing. So if we could get 2 books if
We
you.
need that one sound effect added to the board.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
the
about.
magical girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Either way, that's the show for the day. Wow, I'm coughing. Hope you
are.
enjoyed. It was, this is fine so far.
It's Job
Yeah.
again.
Yes, Job, but it's more exciting than Job.
It's more detailed.
Yeah, and it's less wisdomy.
Yeah, it's definitely written differently.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that part of it. But either way, thanks for watching, everybody.
So next time,
We will
see you on Sunday
for Zechariah, right? I think.
Well, the first part that we're reading, we're
Yeah.
not going to read the whole
Yeah,
book.
for part
on
of
Sunday,
Zechariah.
but we're getting
And
so
then-
close. It's 4 more shows of Atheist Sunday School before we finish the Old Testament.